and to trying to block them from voting. What do you want to say to that? When you hear that no vote nonsense, that's what I call it. But when you hear it, what do you say, Breanna?
I First, of course, you have an emotional response, right? So you feel like it's a personal attack on us. Of course, we're trying to silence our voice. I think in the grand scheme of things, I think people have to recognize now between millennials and Gen Z, we're on the path of making nearly half of the voting population in this country. So when people say that, we have next, we got next, no, we have right now. They are stripping us of our rights right now. And so we're talking not just about our future, but our present. They are doing things whether we know it or not, right? We have no choice but to stand up, use our voice, and advocate for ourselves, for our families, for our friends, for our students, and our generation as a whole. So again, I think the first thing, that emotional response and leaning heavy into that, is that passion and that drive to stick up for yourself, advocate for yourself, advocate for the issues that you care about, because they are on the ballot and they are trying to make sure that you do not show up. So what are you going to do about it? Right? That's where my mindset and my headspace has been, is just trying to get my generation educated on the issues that are going on right now and how there are practices of regressive government.
And that's why the pledge is so important. Ashley, thank you, and Cynthia, thank you for, talking about the pledge, because the pledge is the counter to this, because it says, I will vote, right, Andreas? We're having this mighty program on a Monday. Folks, you can participate online. You can just pull out your phone, pull out your computer, pull out your laptop, your iPad, whatever, and you can connect. We're going to have a virtual national teletown hall, and we're having some of the most amazing activists, leaders, including some of the voices you're hearing right now, will be on that show. And Daryl will, of course, be our amazing moderator. You need to put on your calendar, 7 o'clock p.m., 7 o'clock p.m., we will be having this outstanding program. And Daryl, I know you got a word about that. And again, if people want more information about that program, you can go to tjcoalition.org. The amazing Ashley Shannon and the Communications Committee with Cynthia Robbins, they're working on a major flyer so that people can see our great guests like Keith Ellison, the AG, Attorney General for the state of Minnesota, who's leading the fight against all these people trying to destroy the Voting Rights Act. He's leading the fight to make sure that the states are strong in saying we must have a Voting Rights Act that is enforceable by private people and groups. So, Daryl, what do you want to, as we drill down into our last 12 minutes, our last 10 minutes of the show, what do you want to say about Monday so that people know that they got to become part of this and that they can listen and really hear some of the most amazing voices?
Well, Barbara, that's a great question, and it's so important that people tune in and go to us on the Transformative Justice Coalition on our Facebook page on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to listen to this teletown hall. Because, one of the things that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said was that the most important march that the people can make during a time of violence is the march to the ballot box. And I can only imagine that during this teletown hall, that today, as people try to march to the ballot box and they're met not with dogs, not with batons, not necessarily with guns, but they're met with registrars that have put legislation and policies in place to turn them away, to block them from being capable of exercising that right to vote that Dr. King during his era was able to have afforded to many, many Americans. That John Lewis, through his efforts at the Edmund Pettus Bridge, was able to open up for voter registration for African Americans and all Americans to be able to exercise that march to the ballot box. That's what we're going to be discussing this Monday, the 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is the impediments that are now being put in the way and how we're overcoming those impediments. We'll talk about, Cynthia, you talk about the importance of that vote. Andreas, you talk about the young folks being accessing easily their ballots and their ability to vote. That's what this discussion is going to be about. But these are the impediments that are here now and what we must do as a nation to be certain that we have representation and representatives that we elect. So, Andreas, when you hear this parallelism from what Dr. King stood for, talking about the most important march of your life being your march to the ballot box, and the march that you put forth there at Florida State University to make it easier for students to be able to vote. What do you say about that correlation? Do you see it? Is it clear? Am I off?
No, you're
Absolutely,
not off.
No. You are not off at all. There's absolutely a correlation. To see that, young people are still leading the way on all of these critical issues. This isn't just happening at FSU. This parallel that we're trying to draw isn't something that is just happening at FSU. It's not just happening in Tallahassee. It's not happening in Florida. It's happening everywhere. It is happening everywhere. And so I think it is critical for young people to continue to educate themselves on these issues as much as possible. There is no greater threat to the forces of reactionism or reactionary forces or threats to democracy than an educated public. And there's when we have the largest and most diverse group of voters coming into the polls in 2024, making sure that they are as educated as possible, that they have the tools that they need to make an impact on the election is critical. And I think we're going to continue to see these kinds of parallels across the country as we get closer to that November election day.
And Ashley, I wanted to ask you as we're going to a close, how do people get in contact with you if they want to get in contact with you? And if you could also draw that parallelism dealing with mass incarceration and those that are incarcerated and being stopped and felony disenfranchisement.
Of course, first of all, if you want to get in contact with me on any social media platform, it's Ashley Shannon 96. I would love to discuss any of these topics with you as well as help you get things organized on your campus or in the community. But as far as mass incarceration discussions go, it has been my privilege to honestly go into jails and prisons and speak with legislators about voting rights in prisons and jails throughout our nation. And specifically, there is the opportunity to protect voting rights in jails right now in Illinois specifically. I'm living in D.C., but my work is built out of Illinois. And so I've gone into jails. I've seen people discussing votes with people that are incarcerated, yet your vote is sacred. It should be held near the heart. And so I prevent voter intimidation. But what I feel like needs to be pressed even more towards the mark is getting voting rights for people even in prison. Just because you have lost your ability to participate in everyday activities and you are incarcerated does not mean you should also lose your vote, your right to vote in this country. And so now I'm fighting on the outside to protect the right to vote for everyone in this nation, and so that we don't have excessive punishments past what justice calls for.
And the same question to you, Andreas. How do people get in touch with you, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on social media. You can find me on Twitter. It's just Andres Cubillos _ or on Instagram, Andres Cubillos _ there as well. Also, feel free to contact me through any of the other resources on the TJC website. I know that we have the TJC Fellows. All their information is available for this past class. You can find my information there. Or if you're in Tallahassee, anywhere that you can find me, I am happy to help out on any forms of volunteer, community organizing, or just supporting your work in our community.
Thank you so much. And very quickly, also, the same question to you, Breanna.
Yes, so you can definitely get in contact with me through social media, of course, at b.appling. That's b.appling. So follow me on Instagram, DM me, of course, just like Andreas just mentioned, because I was a part of the last class. I know that our contact information is listed there as well. Yeah.
All right now. And Cynthia, as we're coming to a close, what do you want to say? How do people get in touch with you?
The best way to get in touch with me as well is on, I'm not much of a social media folk, which is why I'm so happy to be part of the communications committee with all the other young folks who you have introduced here today. But folks could write to me through my page on LinkedIn, and I'm a consult Cynthia Robbins, Robbins. And also just through the Transformative Justice Coalition work. We are going to be working hard on making sure that we have all eyes on Arkansas and all eyes on the Eighth Circuit, which is one of the major courts that has a direct place to appeal right up to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yes.
And so we will be continuing the fight to protect our vote.
Thank you. And Daryl, as you take us home, I just want to remind every listener that the deadline for this application process for Phoenix for the next training is January the 26th. Go to tjcoalition.org. Also, I want to remind everyone who has any family members who are farmers, ranchers, forest workers, that the deadline for the applying for the $2.2 billion fund to get at least $500,000 is on January the 13th, coming up. So please let everyone know. Daryl.
We encourage everyone to join us January the 15th for our Martin Luther King Teletown Hall at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find us and get on there through our Facebook page, the Transformative Justice Coalition. Folks, thank all of our guests for being here, Cynthia Robbins, Rarixa Rousseau, as well as Breanna Appling and Andreas Cubillos and Ashley Shannon. Folks, please listen to us. Listen to us. Get off the sidewalks. Get in the streets. Get your vote on, and let's make America as great as it can possibly be. Until next Tuesday, Eastern Standard Time at noon, we'll see you then. Peace, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.
Until people come before profit. Until all energy is clean. Until the wild is truly free. Earth Justice will never rest. Earth Justice is a national legal nonprofit defending the planet and its people for nearly 50 years. Earth Justice has 150 full-time lawyers fighting in court for our planet's future and representing all clients free of charge. No one fights more cases on the environment than Earth Justice. And we win because these are fights we cannot lose. Until justice stands for all, Earth Justice will never rest. If you share our restless spirit and want to commit to fighting for a just and equitable future for everyone, go to earthjustice.org/neverrest. Earth Justice, because the earth needs a good lawyer.
Did you know that every year, public school teachers spend nearly $500 of their own money for student supplies? At Donors Choose, we want students and teachers to have the tools they need for a great education. And now, more than ever, they need your help. Go to DonorsChoose.org and choose from teachers' requests that support reading, math, science, music, and more. Learn more at DonorsChoose.org.
Donors Choose. Support a classroom. Build a future.
WOL Washington, D.C. W240DJ Washington. 95.9 WMMJ HD3 Bethesda. WKYS HD3 Washington. WPRS HD3 Waldorf and worldwide at WOLDCnews.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.